Pluto, 29, Mars at 28, and then Pallas Athena in Scorpio at 28. We are going to talk about the new moon. Hello. This is G. So with this new moon, we're going to take a look at that. We're going to see the sign that it's in, the degree that it's in, and then we'll look at the other planets, the other players that are involved, because whenever they're connecting and making contact, it means that they are basically all sitting at a table, and some are getting along and some aren't. And we're going to see what kind of a conversation that they're having, what they're talking about, and while at the same time remembering what a new moon is. It's a time when we're thinking about our future and what we want for our future. New moon in Virgo. New moon in Virgo. New moon's a time to manifest, a time to start the process of manifesting the energy. And for many folks, if you have things in your chart, planets, house cusp lines that are at those degrees, 2-degree orb. So we're going to say 9, 10, 11, 12, even 13 degrees. Then you would expect to have something occur, because that's just the way it works. The sun and moon will be there together on this day. At this time, they match at 11 degrees and 4 minutes. You see that? So the degrees are important when you have a planet in your birth chart that is near that same degree. Did you follow? So if you don't know, like if you have anything there because you don't have your chart, then you might want to get your chart. I go over a lot of things in the charts. Sometimes I do unbelievably super deep dives. And so you could have a whole lot of things that you never knew you had because you're looking at a chart that only has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 objects in it. Realistically, if you look at a whole chart, there's always a shitload of things going on up in the skies. We've got asteroids. We've got, things that aren't normally talked about a whole lot. Okay. And I know that's sometimes it goes too deep. I get it. That's not for everybody. I get that too. So if you want a crazy chart, like astrology crazy, a chart that you can grow into, a chart that when you're watching these videos, you got your chart in your hand or on your phone or wherever, however you enjoy your chart. Some people can hold it all in their brain. But this way you would at least know, do I have something at those degrees? So if you need your chart and you want a chart like the ones I'm using to make it easier to follow along with at home, just comment to me, let me know, and we'll take care of you. Moon is the mother, sun is the father. When they come together, they make things, usually making babies. But we can do a lot more than just making a physical baby, right? If you're a creative person, and Virgo is creative in a very practical way. These are those people who are knitting and sewing. These are people who can organize, like that's their superpower. They get into the kitchen or a bedroom and a closet and they're like they Shazam. They know where shit belongs, what makes sense, right? Like they're just all about putting things in a way where it's doable, it's functional. Have you ever been in a kitchen? I'm a big kitchen person. So there was nothing more frustrating, especially when I was working professionally in kitchens. And there was nothing more frustrating than being in a kitchen where somebody higher up thought it was a good idea to put this here and this over there and this over there. And then when it came time to do to literally deal with the nuts and the bolts of stuff, the nitty gritty and within the everyday work and getting the hands dirty type of shit and really doing the job, it made no damn sense. It was the most inefficient, messed up cluster duck that you ever did see. And it was totally and completely, it didn't flow. I think feng shui and like the flow of things, but this is just being logical. Like the dots don't connect. You connect the dots and it does not produce the end product. And Virgo says, when I connect the dots, I should be able to see the big picture. I should see like what we're shooting for. I should see that picture. I should see how I can go from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and be like, okay, that's logical. I could see that. But if you're in a kitchen, and this is just my example because I'm a big kitchen Virgo food person and even creating in the kitchen, right? The thing is, it's not logical, right? Like having something that you use often up high up on a shelf or in a cabinet above the stove makes no damn sense. You need something that you use often to be close by, to be easy to get to, right? That can be kept relatively clean with not as much fuss. Like there's some things involved with the details and cleanliness and order that Virgo excels at, where it's just freaking logical. It just makes sense. And for Virgos, if it doesn't make sense, if they can't see the logic of it, then many times it's like, well, screw it. It's not going to work. Like, I don't see the logic of going down that path. So, Virgo energy typically is talked about like it's really smart. So, when the sun and the moon are together and you're in Virgo energy, this is a time when we can rationally and logically think about the small things and the minutia that can add up to the long-term successes because it's an earth sign. And the next earth sign after Virgo is Capricorn. So Virgo is super important. It's the day-to-day routines. It's your tasks and your projects, your to-do list, your calendar. So it's like, do all the things that I expend my energy on during the day, will that get me to my Capricorn goal? And so you got to ask yourself that question when you're dealing with Virgo energy. It forces us, right, to like look at the details, the stuff that we may not normally look at and say, well, if I have this big lofty goal of doing or being this or getting this or whatever your goals may be, is my day-to-day stuff, does it add up that if I do this repetitively, consistently, whatever that thing is, will it get me to here? Will it get me to the Capricorn goal? And if it doesn't, then it's the Virgo energy that says, wait a minute, I got to change this shit up. This doesn't make sense. And that's the beauty of the Virgo energy. So it may say, okay, if I can just move this here, or if I can just just reorganize it a little bit so I can, you know how like when you enter, have you ever entered a place and it could be a room in your house, it could be somewhere else where you get on the scene and it's so confusing and disorganized and it's so full of shit. Like there's so much stuff. You don't even know how to organize it. You have to first do like a first layer of getting rid of shit, which might be, is this garbage or not? And then you're just starting with two piles. One is garbage, one is not. And once you get past that first level of that first project, I'll put it that way. Once you get past that first project, then you go to the next one, which is, okay, we get rid of the garbage. And now we've got this pile of stuff that we're like, but I need this. And then we go through, okay, what is this? Do I use this every day? How often do I use this? Twice a year? Right? Half a year? Like how many months out of the year do I use it? And so it then goes into this pile. So it starts incorporating the calendar because it's logical and says, this is a practical item. I use this maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year, 5 times a year at the most. So I don't want to throw it away, but it is usable and I do like it. It is practical and I need it because when I need it, I really need it. So then we start looking at objects like that. And it comes down to working sometimes in layers. The thing with the Virgo energy is not everybody's brain works that way. And that's where it gets tricky because Virgo can see that minutia. It can see how that shit is important, right? And then it can also go to the opposite end of its energy, which is the Pisces. And it says, I can see how it can get to that big picture, like the grand scheme of things. And it's a super, possibly very idealistic, maybe even unrealistic goal, right? Because it's like, well, but this is what I am aspiring to be. And that's great. Have that dream, have that hope, have that desire to shoot for those, to shoot for the stars, to shoot for the moon, to just really want something that seems almost fantastical. But don't lose hope on it, right? Even when we don't hit it, because again, I'm saying this a lot lately, even if we miss, we're still further from the point at which we began. And that's kind of how life works. We shoot for the goal. We might not make it. So we end up here. But guess what? We're not where we began. We have made progress. So because we didn't shoot and because we didn't get to this point, we don't give up, right? Just because we didn't get to here, we're not like, well, shit, we're not doing it then. No, we then start over again from here instead of here, meaning we were able to look back and be like, oh my God, I see how far I've come, right? So we just keep progressing along inch by inch. And that's where the Capricorn energy comes in. It says, but we're not going to give up. We'll just work at this by piecemeal, little by little. And we understand that because it's something worthwhile, I'm willing to work at it and I will put in the time that it takes. And so Virgo fills in all the details of the big, lofty Capricorn goal. And it's to set up my long-term financial security. But without Virgo, Capricorn couldn't do it. So it's the details, the daily routines, and the connecting of the dots of how to get there is why Virgo is so important. Okay. So a new beginning, that sun energy, that moon energy, this new thing that we're embarking upon will have to do with tasks and projects and all the damn keywords I mentioned. It might include our pets. It's domestic energy. So it's in the home. And if it's not, I mean, in the home can mean whatever. Your home's going to look different than my home. We got a YouTube neighbor. I have very few of those, but we've got one on the channel, Boondocking with Dennis. His home is his truck. And so his home looks different than here, looks different than where I'm living and what I call home, right? So everyone's idea of home looks really different, but the Virgo still applies to it. And it's the day-to-day routines, you see? So we can kind of see that. And then we see that this Virgo energy is the helpers. This is the service industry. And we think of how many people fall into that category. Is your job in the service industry. So these aren't the white collar workers, but sometimes I shouldn't say sometimes, it's the service industry that enables the white collar workers to do their job. Like these are the people who come in, who provide the lunch. These are the people who clean up. These are the people who make sure their white shirts are clean and laundered and ironed. You see, it's the service industry. These are the people where, I need to go get my coffee. Can you go out and get some coffees for us? It's the people, the baristas, the people making the coffee. It's, nurses. It's people who take care of the minutia. My mom's got home health care workers right in the house. She's got, there's just a lot of helpers is what we call it, right? It's the one word that these are your home helpers, Mom. And we, for whatever reason, use the word home helpers, and she's okay with that. It doesn't make her feel like she's as needy or desperate, and it's practical. It's Virgo. It's practical. She sees where she needs help in the home. She can't keep her home clean. She needs help keeping herself clean and the laundry clean and the linens and the bed clean, right? And her floor, like she needs help with all that. And so these are the home helpers. But it's not limited to the home. We can make money because, of course, those people come into the home and they can make money. But Virgo usually is that one who will be doing jobs that are very unglamorous, right? Some say the mundane, right? It's not flashy. And I call them even the silent workforce because they just kind of come in and make life so much easier. When anybody, like when my mom's, when she doesn't have her helpers there, it's a nightmare. These are people who help charge her devices that keep her independent, her guardian alert, her cell phone, right? Like there's a lot of minutia things, her hearing aids, making sure they're in the right ears. There's just a lot of little things. And this is so, I can never say enough about Virgo energy. And I grew up working in Virgo energy. I was born into it with my mom and dad. My mom and dad ran, my dad did a lot of different things. He was a very, very get up and go kind of individual, always on the move, right? So I started working at a really, really young age. They had a mom and pop thing. And so I started working really young. And that's, providing for others, providing a service, whatever that service is. This could be somebody out harvesting, somebody cultivating the land, right? But picking the fruit, that the farmers' Taurus energy grew. You follow? So that's all Virgo stuff. It's so crucial within our society and the ability for us to keep on functioning. So it's a time to reevaluate our day-to-day routines and that which we do. And when we kind of take a deeper dive at the degrees, we got to ask ourselves, in what way am I serving? Is there something here? Because that degree speaks to an altruistic type of service. You see, Virgo can be kind of personal and one-on-one. You heard the examples I gave, the people who are in my mom's home who help out. It's kind of one-on-one, right? They come into my mom's home and they help her. They help her house. And, these are even people who come and cut your lawn, right? They're cutting your lawn. But then when we move to that degree, this is group energy. This is the group coming together even. The service industry coming together. So we even think unionizing. The service industry hello, can we say this word together? Unionizing, right? Getting really organized and structured. This degree speaks to that. All right. So a new beginning and possibly surprises because it's that same degree. It's higher minded meaning, not meaning higher as in, not higher minded as in I'm better than you, but higher minded as in lightning bolt ideas, something unconventional, something different, maybe even something exciting. So this could be possibly a new idea for work for some people because Virgo energy does represent the jobs, the day-to-day routines. Well, most of us have to go to work, right? A lot of folks, for how many years of your life did you have to go to the job, regardless of what age you're at, right? And if you're not there yet, well, you will be there. So it's the work that we do. But I love that 11th degree thing because it speaks to otherworldly almost, right? We think of space, we think of astrology, we think of independence as in my individuality, so my uniqueness, how I stand out. It can have a little bit of a rebel energy. So with that said, it can also have this authoritarian energy to it, right? It can have that authoritarian energy. And I keep hearing, and this is not to be political, but I keep seeing the face of that one dude from Israel. Remember, this isn't political. I keep hearing his name in my head and I see his face. And so I'm just letting you know, like that's what I'm seeing and hearing. What's his name? BB begins with an N. So I keep hearing and seeing his face. Maybe that's just to give us an example of some of these energies. And the details, the minutia, and the connections. But let's take a look at what else is going on in this chart. So before we do that, we're going to go over the date because I don't think I said that yet. And there it is. It's right at the beginning of September. What a wild ass beginning of a month this is, because this is a huge beginning, folks. If you didn't see my other video, I'm not sure which one you're going to see first, but we have Pluto entering Capricorn. This literally just happened yesterday that Pluto entered Capricorn. So there's a separate video for that. I'll connect the link, the video, the something somewhere. If you haven't seen it, and if you didn't see me put the link or the picture and you're curious, please ask me. I'll supply the link. I'll come in and pin it in. Hopefully I remember. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But this is all happening at the same time. And so for me to create the one video about all of it, it's kind of complex because that's not all. There's more. 9 hours prior to the Pluto retrograde, which was the day before this, so it would have been on September 1st that we had a Pluto retrograding into Capricorn because Pluto had already begun the retrograde, right? Right. It already began the retrograde and it was in Aquarius. But on September 1st, it is retrograding, moving backwards, that means, into Capricorn. So it's at 29:59 on September 1st, the day before this 11-degree Virgo new moon. And here's another one. 9 hours before Pluto entered into Capricorn, 9 hours before, Uranus and Taurus at 27 degrees went retrograde. So that means that Uranus and Taurus went retrograde at 27 degrees on September 1st. And 9 hours later, Pluto, that was already retrograding, entered Capricorn at 29:59. What's the connection? They're both in an earth sign. Technically, they're both trining, although for me, I don't consider it that much because Pluto's still at 29:59. Either way, a big deal because they're both retrograding. So technically, if they're both retrograding and one of them is Uranus and the other one is Pluto, the biggest baddie of the universe that we know of anyway, technically, we could absolutely say that it's a Uranus Pluto trine in Earth energy. And maybe that's why that individual's face keeps popping up. Because, well, I think the dude's in the news a lot, right? So it makes sense. So when I back up the chart for this Virgo new moon, and the new moon is the new beginnings, and using the power of the law of attraction, which is when you use your willpower combined with your emotions. And folks, if you aren't sure, or if I wasn't clear already, the moon is your emotions. The moon is water. It does talk about the past. It does talk about feelings and family. So history is all part of a moon energy. The mother and family. Yep, that's all moon. And the history in the past, everything I said, it is the public. That's the moon. The sun is your willpower. And when you are setting your intentions, it is the combination of your willpower, the sun, and your emotions. The willpower says, this shall be done. The moon, conjuring up those emotions, thinking about the past, using that power, using that memory, using the history, because that's the fuel. That's the gasoline. Your emotions are the gasoline. And so this is a positive way in which we use our emotions, especially in Virgo energy, because it'll keep you logical and practical and rooted in reality, grounded energy that says, this is a smart way forward. I can connect the dots and I can see how this can become a reality. You see, 11 degrees, something unconventional, new, different, exciting. It's powerful energy. So it gives power to individuals. It gives power to all individuals, not just me, little old me, but people who are in power, right? And with this connection and the time, the hours of power are 8 hours. There's an 8-hour window that's considered the super powerful time before new moons. And so this new moon time is at 9 a.m. roughly. I'm sorry, 9 p.m. And that's in my time zone. So you want to adjust for your time zone. 8:56 p.m. Central. Okay? Adjust for the time zone you live in to set your Virgo intentions. And then you see where is the 11 degrees of Virgo in your chart. What house is it in? Because then that gives you the more details on where you're setting your intentions. Example chart, 10th house. My long-term goals, my financial long-term goals and security, financial security, professional goals, long-term, right? Boss energy, my career, the 10th house energy. So this would, for this chart, for this sample chart, this would just kind of work out really well. It's a professional goal that you want to line up the details to manifest the long-term goal. Like you can see how Virgo gets you to here. If you're confused or you want help, just put in the comments below what house your 11 degrees of Virgo sits in. Now, so with this new moon, we have Mars sitting at 28. You see it? Mars right there, 28 degrees. 28 degrees in Gemini. Gemini is mutable. This is business. It's thinking, it's my thoughts, it's communication. Mars takes action. It looks like we're definitely going to have a decrease in the interest rates because we have this Virgo energy, which is about the jobs and the jobs reports. And look what else we have. Mars is in air, so it's trining Libra energy. It's air, it's trining, makes something easily happen. There is something here at 27. That is an Arabic lot at 27 degrees. PRO. I think I know it, but I want to double check. I always, yeah, yeah, property, part of property. So usually the part of property talks about substance, a part of substance. What does substance mean? Something I can hold, something that's tangible, right? It's things which men or women use for their sustenance. I'm reading the software now. And if it's well disposed and well placed, it signifies a good condition, both in wealth and sustenance, right? So stability and profit and partnerships, because it's in Libra, partnerships. So this can be in love, but it can also be professional partnerships. Okay. Mars is trining that. We all know that Mars usually throws a monkey wrench into things. So we'll see how that goes. But one of the keywords for Mars is absolutely, I'm going to take action with something, you see? And so for me, when we talk about business and professional, and yeah, I see Mars trining that Arabic lot. I think of the interest rates, because we also at this time have Venus, what I value in Libra, partnerships, professional partnerships, the job, the work, the markets. Mars is the markets, okay? So we think the stock market. I said Mars is the markets. Gemini is the market, and Mars in Gemini says we're going to take action. Something's going on here, right? There's activity happening. And because Jupiter has been here and will stay here, right? We got Jupiter here for a year. There's like this boom within the markets. Venus here at 5 degrees. And look, Black Moon Lilith is right there. Old school trusted economists who are like, it is time to ease the interest rates. Our economy is strong. But Jerome Powell, and his whole team, they like to see lots of different metrics that they look at. And some say they're a little on the slow side. So either way, if Black Moon Lilith is conjunct Venus, this may say, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, we need to lower the interest rates because Black Moon tends to put a monkey wrench. This is partnerships. And I say Venus because it's money, but Venus is also our desires. You follow? Our desires and money and the partnerships. Now, this Venus is conjunct the South Node. And you see Juno's here too. Juno was just on the South Node. So this is a powerful time. There's a lot of things pointing to a release in professional partnerships, but also possibly in contract work, contractors. So there might be releases in jobs and jobs reports. I've talked about this already. And this kind of gives more evidence to speak to that. And that then will help to release those interest rates, which people are like, we need the interest rates because then that will help bring some ease to the housing market. So that's part of the picture. The other part of the picture is Mars squaring Neptune. Neptune's at 29. There's Mars at 28. I talked about this in the other video a little bit. What you need to know here is that Neptune has the ability to make Mars weak. It can make Mars weak, which means the market might have a little fluctuation here because Mars is here. Mars is about to hit extreme energy. You see? And Neptune is at 29, and so will be Mars. And Neptune can diminish Mars's ability to act. And because it's within the markets and our minds, by the way, and our communication and in the news, there might be reports that may seem confusing or funny. Like, okay, that doesn't make sense. It's super contradictory because Neptune was part of the picture. And Mars being the action on our body, we might feel more tired and we might be a little bit more foggy in our mind at this time as well. If you take substances for sleep, just know you might not need as much, or that sip of wine after dinner might affect you a little bit more strongly than usual because Neptune in Pisces is substances. Always remember that and know where Mars is if you use things, whether they're, for whatever reason. Okay. The other thing too is we have a T-square in this chart that I wanted to point out. You can see the T-square. It is with Hermes. I love Hermes. I feel like Hermes is definitely, it's a higher octave of Mercury energy. Mercury rules Gemini, but Hermes rules Aquarius. And I know everybody might not agree with that piece, but that's how it comes through to me. This is like that lightning bolt energy. This is super creative ideas. So we don't talk about people. Remember Gemini energy? I talk about my neighbors, kind of gossipy even, talk about the details, the business, talk about people that I don't even know that well or aren't even part of my inner circle, but we talk about them anyway, coworkers, classmates, right? Hermes is Aquarius energy, folks. These are the scientists. These are the people who are out there trying to do big things to make a difference in the world. Like that's Aquarius energy in a beautiful expression. Yeah, this is astrology. So we get information with Hermes energy. We get the big light bulb, the Nikola Tesla in the laboratory, the Da Vinci, somebody who thunk outside the box and brought in something different and new and helped humanity advanced because of their invention. Because of their invention. So it's a big T square. Hermes is T squaring with Uranus. Now, for those of us who live in the States at this time, I want you to just kind of understand that Hermes is sitting right on your moon. The United States, if you saw my other video, I drew that in, or I showed the chart where the US's chart, oh, this is the weirdest moon, I'm using the wrong hand, but the United States moon in their natal chart is in Aquarius at 27 degrees, right? Yeah. And so this Uranus is squaring the United States moon. It's squaring the public and people. So it's like, what the hell's going on? There's upsets, right? And the upsets are the things that are different and unconventional, where people are like, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. That's not going to work. Folks, we're in unconventional times. Pluto demands that we do something different because we have Pluto in Aquarius. But it becomes very unsettling because we're still in that new and different energy because we got Uranus and Taurus, and now Pluto has gone into Capricorn. So now, even though there's this square between Hermes and Uranus, right? Strong energy with inventions, with authority figures, strong energy with people who are in charge, people who might be the boss or the CEO at the job. We now have a trine. I went red. Let me make that blue. We now have a trine with Pluto in Capricorn at 2958 and Uranus at 27. So I think this day is definitely powerful. The day before also, and the following day. I think the beginning of this week starts off huge. And I'll add that the same Pluto is quincunxing the Mars at 29 in Gemini. Quincunx are irritating. It's irritating. It's uncomfortable. When you got an itch and you have to itch it, right? It's got that kind of vibration to it. So there's something with this energy that I actually think is going to be beneficial. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, doesn't mean it's going to be smooth sailing, but I think it's going to be beneficial in the long term. Mars is trining Hermes. Mars is trining the sustenance and this Arabic lot that I drew in the Libran energy at 27 degrees. Remember that 27 degrees is big because Uranus and Taurus at 27 means it's also a quincunx to the Libran energy. There's change here. When you have a quincunx and a quincunx, let me draw this in. The quincunx to Mars is this. It's Pallas Athena. So the Pallas Athena is at 28. So let me back it up so you guys can see the black. Pluto, 29. Mars at 28. And then Pallas Athena in Scorpio at 28. So it's business and government and corporations, shared values. This is insurance money, but this is natural resources. This is the past. This is history. This can be soldiers and tragic shit, right? Injuries. Think of some of the reasons you have to have insurance and that you get an insurance payment. It's not always inheritances, right? Right. Sometimes you go through some tragic shit. And so Mars is quincunxing to that, okay? And then quincunxing to the Pluto. And that creates that finger of God thing because we actually have a lot of stuff at 26 and 27 and 28. If you look at Saggy, I mean, a lot. There's so much here and it all functions together. Look at that. Look at all the stuff at 26, 27, 28, and 29 even. Galactic center, the lot of buying something is right there at 27. Or maybe that's 26, 27. What's at 29? Oh, we got something at 29. Don't even know what it is because Galactic's at 27. Buying at 26. Fortune at 26. There's a crap load here. So absolutely the finger of God energy, which then will draw a line and it will be like that. That's how it looks in your chart. So it's 2 quincunxes basically, and then a sextile that connects these two. So it goes like this. So it looks like a kite, but it looks a little bit smaller to be a kite, a little bit more narrow because there's no trines in this. So some might even call it like a mini kite because it's a quincunx. And the goal is that it is this energy here, our beliefs, the beliefs about our future. Look at that. Spirituality, your religion, the beliefs about our future. Sagittarius energy at 27, 28 degrees are at the top point of this finger of God that includes Mars and Pluto and Pallas Athena, about our shared resources, our shared natural resources, the stock market, and business. This last note, which is the vertex points at the time of the new moon. Vertex is in Taurus at 16. It's in Taurus at 16 degrees. So that's home and family. That's mom. That's housing. 16 degrees is moon energy, folks. Moon energy. And it's then 16 degrees of Scorpio. Shared values, 16 degrees. It's still moon energy because it's 16 degrees, but the past is a big deal here. The past is strong, strong, strong. The ruler of this new moon is Mercury, and it's in Leo. So it's very colorful. It's very confident. Maybe courageous is a better word. It's willing to take a challenge, or I should say it's willing to take a risk, probably some unnecessary risks, even with money, possibly. I'm saying money because this chart talks about partnerships and money and values and desires. So the Mercury in Leo, and this particular Mercury is still in its retrograde shadow zone, which means we're not making any major decisions at this time, not until Mercury gets back to 5 degrees of Virgo. And you see how Vesta's sitting right where Mercury began? Right. Vesta is the flame. How do you hold that flame? How do you serve yourself and the people you care about? The details, the minutia, cleanliness and organizing, and your health, the health of your mind, the health and the well-being and the connection to what we put in our body and how our mind functions. For sure, Virgo energy. So Mercury is the ruler of this new moon. The mind, the way we talk, the way we share information and knowledge. And are we weeding our garden, the garden in our mind? How often do we weed it? That's a big one. And Mercury kind of helps us to see it because Leo tends to be pretty optimistic. And so we can kind of see that sometimes it might help it to pinpoint, like shine a light, using the sun's power to shine a light on negative thoughts. And then if we don't stop them in their tracks, they're like weeds. They reproduce really fast. And we can be the gardener of our own mind. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you in the next one. You got any questions, comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, take care. Bye-bye.